Hello friends, it's actually Christmas Eve when I'm filming this video, so that's why I'm wearing my festive sweater here, but we are doing our last quarterly review of 2024. I am so excited to jump into all of the things. This actually excites me, and this is a testament to all of the work that I've done with my quarterly reviews and making it a positive experience, because I am so ready to jump into this and have a nice little slow morning where I look at all of the things that I've done this year. I can't believe I'm saying that. Oh my gosh. Riley just slammed into the door. Anyway, let's set the vibe here as we do. Let's set the vibe here as we do, which is making ourselves a really good cup of coffee, and then let's jump into our quarterly review together. I've been making drip coffee lately, but I don't have any ground coffee beans, so what I've been doing is taking the whole beans from my espresso machine, grinding them to the largest size, as you can see in here, and then dumping it in this so that I can brew it through my pour over. I know that is so strange, but it's been working, so I've been doing that. This mug, this is probably my most festive one, I think. For Christmas Eve, of course. After tomorrow, which is Christmas, I think I'm retiring the peppermint mocha finally. Okay, coffee ready to go. Before we actually jump into the quarterly review, I wanted to run through some quick tips that I always share at the start of these videos. First of all, what is a quarterly review? I don't think I mentioned that at the top because Riley distracted me with her zoomies, but personal quarterly reviews are very similar to like work quarterly reviews, where you have yearly goals set at the start of the year, and every quarter you track those goals and measure those goals and see what you're doing well, what is not doing so well, and figure out what you're gonna do moving forward to achieve those goals. So when we shift it over to the personal quarterly review space, we're talking about personal goals, things that are important to you in your life and your interests, things like that. And I like to set personal goals that are for personal development, but it doesn't necessarily need to be about development. It can just be like doing more of what you like to do and just really putting you as the focus. And these quarterly reviews are gonna help you hold yourself accountable for prioritizing you. That's why I love quarterly reviews so much, and I highly recommend anyone and everyone utilize this kind of practice. Okay, so that's what personal quarterly reviews are. Now, a few tips. The first one is set a vibe, like we just did. We made ourselves a really good cup of coffee, a festive cup of coffee for Christmas Eve. And you can do other things, such as setting up a really feel-good playlist. That's something that I also like to do. I'm definitely gonna put some Christmas music on. You can put a YouTube video on in the background. You can go to a coffee shop. You can do whatever excites you and gets you really, really motivated to get going with your quarterly review. So associate positive things. And that's the whole reason why we're doing it, is because you wanna associate positivity with a quarterly review as opposed to dreading it and feeling anxious and scared about the quarterly review. And clearly I'm doing a good job because I am so excited about doing mine today. Okay, another tip is remembering why wins are important. So when we're looking at a quarterly review and we start looking at the things that we've accomplished, those are wins. And it's important to acknowledge those wins and celebrate those wins no matter the size. So say you have a really big goal and you didn't completely achieve it, but you achieved 50% of it, 75% of it, 20% of it. That is still an accomplishment because that's 20% or more put towards you and prioritizing you and your interests, and that's worth celebrating. So don't forget to acknowledge all things big and little. Now, in the same realm, why are setbacks important? You're gonna look at your goals and you're gonna see setbacks. You didn't achieve something 100%. That is completely okay, and it's completely normal, especially if you're someone like me that aims really high. More chances than not, you're not going to complete things 100%. But the big key thing here is to think about the lessons you've learned from that setback and what can you do with that lesson learned moving forward. How can you improve moving forward, or what can you shift and change in your day-to-day that will help you achieve this a little bit better than you did beforehand? Lessons are so great. And I know there's a lot of jokes out there where, you know, lesson after lesson after lesson is just like a hit after hit after hit. But if we can look at it in this way and see a sense of gratitude in that sense, it can be a really powerful thing. Okay, and then the last tip is something that I talked about in the second tip, but celebrate no matter what the outcome is. So once you finish your quarterly review, we're gonna do a rating for our quarter and all of that good stuff. Celebrate that no matter what number you end up with, because all that you've done is an enormous effort, no matter the size, once again, it's an enormous effort towards you. And I think in this society, it's really hard to put ourselves first. And so the fact that you even tried, the fact that you even attempted, the fact that you're even listening to this video is something worth celebrating, and you deserve that, especially at this time of year, at the end of the year. Put a little bit of extra flair and celebration and festivity into your day when you're doing this quarterly review, because I'm really proud of you. And if nobody has said that yet, I am most certainly proud of you. So enormously proud of you for even listening to this video. Okay, so with all that being said, it is time for me to do my quarterly review. Let's do this. Okay, well, it is too perfect of a time. I have to play a Christmas record since it's Christmas Eve. This is gonna be the perfect feel-good music to play right now. All right, let's do this. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so I just finished my quarterly review, and it took me a little bit longer than usual. I think I did record time last time, but this time was longer because I wanted to be extremely thorough and set certain things up for the new year, which I think takes a little extra time. But anyway, you didn't have to sit through all of that because I did that off camera, and I had a festive time because I put on my Christmas records. But anyway, I'm gonna go into my journal now and go through the prompts that I usually go through when I do quarterly reviews in particular. Somebody had asked me like the difference between monthly reviews and quarterly reviews, and monthly reviews are very monthly specific. There are monthly prompts, there are monthly goals, everything is just really specific to that month so that I don't get overwhelmed with other things. And then quarterly reviews look at months in clusters, like every 3 months, and those pertain to yearly goals and yearly thoughts, reflections, stuff like that. So you're gonna see that once I go through my prompts right now. Okay, so my cue for review, my first prompt is my word for quarter 4. And my word is test, because there has been a lot going on these past few months, and I'll get into it when I can get into it, but all I keep thinking of is that this is a test, this is a challenge, this is an exam almost. So that is why I use that word. But the second prompt is my wins for quarter 4, which I have quite a few, so I'm really happy about that. The first is that I had a really great birthday and anniversary celebration. It was my 30th birthday. I got everything that I wanted, and I also booked us a trip to a tiny little house in the middle of the farm in upstate New York, and that was so much fun. That kind of combined with our anniversary, because our anniversary is the day after my birthday. So that was really great. Such a good start to the quarter. The second thing is that we had a great Halloween. We had a great spooky season. We do all of the things that we typically do during spooky season. Get pumpkins, pumpkin picking, watch a lot of horror movies, all of those types of things. And we also had a really great podcast season as well. Another thing is that I started the Slowing Down with Art series, which is a really exciting series for the channel, of course, but a deeper meaning behind that is that I am prioritizing art finally and being really focused and prioritizing it more than I have in the past. So that was really special for me. And then I started posting more on TikTok. I started posting at least 2 times a day on TikTok, very consistently, which is really hard to do, especially as you all know I do 2 YouTube videos a week, and I do all sorts of other posting across other platforms. So I was really impressed and proud of myself there, and it definitely showed in my analytics as well. I also did some more creating. Of course, I posted more on TikTok, so I was creating more, but I was also creating more in general. I was posting across all of my platforms generally in more volume, which I know sounds like it could be a bad thing, a detrimental thing, because I'm not prioritizing like rest or downtime, but I had so much fun being creative this past quarter, so I really chalk that up to being a win. Okay, and then the last thing is that I started a new skincare routine. I updated things that I needed to update because there was a time, you may have seen it in some recent videos, where my skin was starting to get bad again. And my skincare is a really important part of my yearly goal, so I really wanted to make sure that I was on top of that. Quickly updated my skincare routine. Things are starting to clear up again, so I feel good right now. Okay, so those are my wins. Now the third prompt are my setbacks for quarter four. So one setback is that I did not really challenge myself regarding workouts. I feel like this is one that I'll talk about in my yearly goals part of this video, but I really didn't challenge myself, and I know I really should have, and yet I didn't. Now I should show myself some grace there because I did have a rough quarter, to be honest, but still, I think it's considered a setback because it was something that I really wanted to focus on. Another setback, which is not really on my part, but there were a lot of unexpected events, a lot of unexpected life things that really challenged me and challenged the way that I handle those unexpected things. So I'm calling that a setback because even though it wasn't a setback of my doing, it was a setback overall, and it was just not a great situation or situations overall. And then the last setback is that I did get some like health things come back to me that are like slightly concerning. They're definitely fixable. They're definitely like something I can work on and improve in the new year. So it's not like horrible, but that is a setback, I would say, for sure. As I get older and older, I start to realize how critical it is to focus on my health and not really let that go off on the side. It needs to be a priority always, in addition to all of the other things that I focus on. So that is definitely a setback. Okay, next prompt is lessons learned for quarter four. So I wrote that unexpected things will happen. How I respond to it and how I show up to the challenge, how true to myself I remain is what I need to focus on going forward, because unexpected things will inevitably happen no matter what. But the way that we respond to those things is what's really important and is what you can control. So I really learned a lot about that this year in so many ways, not just this quarter, but in the entire year. I'm noticing it was lesson after lesson after lesson, and there were lessons of all kinds. So it's definitely a test, a challenge, like I said, for my word for Q4, in figuring out how I'm going to prioritize myself in those situations. How can I control the situation to the best of my ability on my end of those situations, and how I can, stay true to myself, show up for myself, things like that. Okay, the next prompt, the fifth prompt, is moving forward wants. So my wants for Q1 or 2025, I wrote that I would love more balance because I've been really off balance lately. I'd like to live more in an abundance mindset, which I talk about in another video, which you'll see very soon, so I won't get redundant in this video. And then I want to create more, which is, again, another thing that I talk about in a recent video. It's either coming out the day before this one or the day after this one, so stay tuned. I get into depth on that, and I don't want to be redundant. But those are some things that I really want to focus on, at least in the start of 2025. I don't know what the entire year of 2025 is going to hold, but those are some things that are top of mind. And then my last prompt for my quarterly review is my rating for Q4, and I rate this out of 10, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, when you hear my number, but I put 3 out of 10. This was a really rough one for me, y'all. I had a really bad Q4. Even though it started off incredibly with my birthday and spooky season, things took a turn so fast, and I haven't talked about it on the channel because I don't really want to talk about it on the channel. I try to put my best foot forward and show up to the best of my ability whenever I do videos, and so I'm not really here to talk about all of the woes in my life, so that's why you haven't heard about it, but eventually I will talk about it, I guess when I'm more comfortable. But yeah, it was a 3 out of 10. Was not a great quarter despite all of the wins and all of the lessons learned, really great lessons learned. That's okay. I'm not really upset with myself about it because, again, unexpected things happen, and sometimes those things are completely out of my control. So, things happen, and moving forward, I can only go up, at least I think so, and I'm really excited for the idea of that, of the possibilities of that, of the opportunities that I'm going to have in the new year. I'm really excited to start fresh and have a clean slate and move on from what happened in Q4 and go forth into something really exciting in 2025 in the new year. So yeah, I am also in my journal, before we move over to Notion, and I do want to take you through my last Notion tour of the year, I wanted to just go through the list of my 2024 goals, like the ones that I set up at the beginning of the year, and check off or cross off whether or not I accomplished them. So the first one is challenge myself with workouts. I put an X next to that, even though I did challenge myself throughout the year sporadically. I feel like I wasn't consistent with it though. And I feel like most of the time I wasn't challenging myself in comparison to how many times I was challenging myself. So I put an X next to that. Not a completion for me. That's okay. The second thing is moving money to my savings every single month. Complete check. I did that every single month. The next thing is to clear up my skin. I put a check mark next to this, even though I did have some hiccups throughout this year. My skin was really struggling about a month ago. Really struggling to a point where it was before I updated it and I got things all good this year. So that was concerning, but I think I'm on a better path right now. So I would say majority of this year was a success. So I put a check mark next to that. The next one was dedicating time to hobbies such as art, reading, and games. Check mark next to that. The reading video, the ranking all books that I read in 2024 video, is a testament to how much I spent this year reading, which I'm really, really happy about. So proud of myself, but I also played a lot of games, more games than usual. I usually fall off after the beginning part of the year, but I really kept consistent and I'm still playing games. And I am focusing on art more with the Slowing Down with Art series. So really happy with that one. That was one of my most important goals for this year. The next one is another big one and a big check mark next to it. It was to focus on YouTube. If you did not know, I got monetized this year on YouTube, so I have to thank you so much for that, so much for the successes, if not most of my successes on YouTube. Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for helping me get a check mark next to one of the biggest goals that I've had on my yearly goals for many years. I appreciate you. And I really did focus it a lot on that. And I will continue to do that in the new year. And then the last one was to garden from seed to harvest, check mark next to that. That's a very limited amount of time in the year where I would dedicate to that yearly goal, but I did garden from seed to harvest. Actually, I should probably put an X mark next to this, because even though I did garden from beginning to end the entire gardening season, I actually didn't start from seed. My seeds did not bloom ever, actually, but I did get some like little sprouts from the nursery and I ended up growing those. So maybe like a half check or just an X. I don't know. I really wasn't completely successful in that. Okay, so that is the journal part of my quarterly review. Now we're gonna go into my Notion and clean things up, get things set up for the new year. I'm so excited to do that. Let's do that. Okay, so this is the final look into my Notion for the year. I cannot believe I'm saying that. It may look a little different than before because I switched up some pictures and stuff like that. Sorry, my phone's going off. But I switched up some pictures and stuff like that. So I think it looks better than it did before. At least I think so. But we're going to focus on this section over here, which is my 2024 Q4 master to-do list. This has been a creation because every time I look into the little mini hubs and little spaces where I do my quarterly review, I end up with one massive list of little things that I don't want to forget. So that's how this was conceptualized, and I've been doing it at every quarter, and it's been really effective because it's right at the top of my Notion. Every time I open my Notion, it's right there. I know that I can find it, and I don't forget any bits and pieces that are part of the so many things that I work on. So what we're going to do is quickly look through this and acknowledge that, one, I did accomplish the 7-3-15 routine, which is a play off of the 5-15-30, I think is what it's called. I always forget it, but it's like a workout routine, and I accomplished it, which I know I said that I wasn't super great with my workout stuff, and, you know, technically I did accomplish something here, but I feel like still I could have been better, but it is still an accomplishment. I also implemented a new art routine, which you will see down here. I have this little creative hub where it lays out my entire art routine. It has like a nice little space and hub and, you know, a good spot for me to have everything when it comes to my art routine. So that was a success. I started posting casual video content on TikTok. Like I mentioned, I've been posting a lot on TikTok recently, which has been a lot of fun. I reset my garden, so I dug everything out. I composted what I needed to compost. Everything is set up for the new gardening season next year. All set. And then I also launched my Patreon, which is really exciting. If you did not know, I have a Patreon again. And this time in my Patreon, I have exclusive phone wallpapers in there because you all had asked for that a lot this year. So if you want wallpapers for your phone, they're all in there. High-end photography and stuff like that I take using my Google Pixel Pro devices. And then these last two things, they're not crossed off, but I can cross them off now. I'll just erase them because I'm going to erase this whole thing anyway. But the last was career prioritizing. I'll talk about this more in the new year because it aligns with my 2025 goals, but I'm really trying to focus on my future in terms of my career and what that could potentially look like. So I did a lot of prioritizing and focusing on that at the end of this year, and I would say that was 100% a success. So I'm going to scratch it off so that you can see that I succeeded in that, but I'm going to erase it in a second. And then Vlogmas, today and tomorrow are the last days of Vlogmas. I think I missed maybe 1 or 2 days out of the 25 days. So I'm going to call that a complete success. I feel like I was super consistent and good about it this year. So yay, I accomplished everything on this little master to-do list. Very happy about that. And now it's time for me to shift this into 2025 Q1 master to-do list, which is so exciting. I'm so ready for the new year. If you couldn't tell, I'm really excited about it. And I actually compiled a master to-do list already as I was doing my review. So I'm just going to paste it right in here and edit it or format it so that it looks like little checklists. I should really turn this into an actual checklist. That's probably going to be easier. I'll do that in a second. Gosh, I keep clicking the wrong thing. Okay, I'm going to highlight everything, and instead of bullet points, I'm going to turn into to-do list. That's so much easier than what I was doing before. I don't know why I wasn't doing that before. Anyway, so to go through this really quickly, one, I'm going to start a Substack in the new year. I'm trying to condense the spaces that I'm active on. I have so many platforms, you all know, but I'm trying to condense my newsletter and my blog into one space instead of posting on both spaces because it gets redundant. And so I'm going to post everything all in one from those two platforms into one space, Substack. So it's going to be a blog, newsletter, hub for all of those things that I always post and I will continue to post. It's just going to be in one space. So stay tuned for that. I am going to continue posting one time a month on my blog, which will also be cross-posted to that Substack eventually because I still have my blog subscription set up, and so I want to make use of it until it expires. Transition newsletter, the same thing that I just talked about. I'm transitioning my newsletter over to Substack, so this is all kind of pieced together, which is why they all ended up one after the other in my master list. And then blog/newsletter content up. This is all very technical stuff. Sorry if it's boring, but I'm just going to make a huge list of things that I want to post that can also be posted through my blog and newsletter, all ending up on my Substack so that I have a good set of ideas for you to check out when I start posting. The next thing is researching cinematic styles. So just like getting more creative and getting more fun on YouTube. YouTube is going to be a major focus for me in 2025. So I want to experiment. I want to get more fun. I want to do things that are entertaining and look good to you. So that is something to look forward to. And then YouTube lives. I'm considering doing a YouTube live or several YouTube lives in 2025. I almost did it a few times this year and then I forgot to, but I'm going to prioritize it now because I have a little bullet point right here. And then the last thing is to post more on my Instagram stories and in my broadcast channel. I wrote check hub because I have more details in my hub, which is in this space over here. So I'll get into that. This is a lot of like slow morning diaries content stuff, but I did say that I want to create more than I consume this year. If I didn't say that in this video, you'll hear me say that more in another video, but all of these videos are blending together. Anyway, yeah, you'll see more of that and it'll make more sense why everything here is centered around slow morning diaries because that's a big focus for me in the new year. Okay, so that is the list. I didn't really go into any of these things when I was doing my quarterly review except for the Slow Morning Diaries hub. The holiday stuff, this is just what I'm doing during my holiday break and Christmas, so no need to go in there. I just showed you the creative hub. Healthy meal ideas, you may see more in my monthly reviews going forward, but I have to focus on certain health things, and so I want a hub in my Notion that I can go to week over week when it's time for me to make my grocery list, make my meal plan list for the week and stuff like that. So that's why that's there. That's new. Oh my gosh, I just noticed that there's no period. Sorry about the period. Okay. House projects, there's only one thing that I added for the first month of the year. That is a studio refresh. You'll see more about that in a Slowing Down with Art video coming very soon. And then the game tracker, Live Alone Pod, and career search, nothing has changed in there, so there's no need to go in there. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to keep the space looking very wintry and festive going into the new year because, we just started winter technically. So I'm going to keep things looking wintry and nice, and I think it'll be a nice bit of feel-good vibes as we head into the new year and we head away from the holidays, which I am low-key bittersweet about. I don't want it to go so soon, but yeah, that is the Notion tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, I hope you like that Notion tour. I don't know if I'm going to switch things up in 2025. I feel like this structure is pretty good right now, so you'll see as I go on month over month in 2025. But I wanted to end this video off by saying I will be setting goals for 2025, my yearly goals like I talked about in the journal where I have like a set list, and it's probably going to be a shorter list, fingers crossed, a shorter list for 2025, but I haven't set them up just yet. I'm filming this video on Christmas Eve, so they're not there yet. They're not completely set in stone just yet. I really want to take this next week to sit and reflect a little bit more and rest and recover from everything that's happened this past year. And then when it's time, which is very close to the new year, I will actually sit down and write those goals out. And that will be in a separate video that is coming next week. So stay tuned. But I think you might have a sense of what I'm going to be focusing on in the new year. And the video that either came out yesterday or tomorrow is going to give you some insight, some context into what you can expect when it comes to my 2025 goals. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today, for doing my quarterly review with me. It was so much fun. It was such a great experience, and I highly, highly recommend you give this a try. If not now, at least in the new year. You can start fresh in the new year, and I have been posting a lot of tips and resources to help you get set up for that so that you can do it very easily come the new year. But thank you once again. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this year. Riley's getting her zoomies again. But I will talk to you in the next video.